Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 15th, and we are with episode number 20 of the Mindless Meanderings. I'm Jesse Fries, coming where I'm trying to figure out if my peeps and my jelly bellies will taste different since red number 3 is now banned.
It very well might, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm Jamin Fries, coming at you from Eastern Kansas, where when trying to find something to talk about today is what's going on around here, I figured out that the internet really sucks at news. Everything I found was from 2023.
That's no good. That's no good.
I mean, the absolute the latest story is from February of 2024.
Whew. That's not good at all. That is not good at all.
Yeah, no. Very, very disappointing when you're trying to find out what's going on in your state today, and the best you got is 2023.
Yeah, that would really be, that's not what's going on in the state.
Imagination. Yep.
But, the people in LA, they know what's going on. All those fires that's going on.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a mess out there. It is a complete mess. And it doesn't seem like
that it is.
It doesn't seem like really anybody knows what's going on. Looks like there's so much finger pointing back and forth, whether or not you're blaming the mayor who is in Ghana for the Ghanese, if that's how you say it, the Ghanese president. He was being inaugurated, and so apparently that's why she was over there, was for his inauguration. But she's not going to go to the Trump one. Not that she was invited, but
well, yeah, of course.
But yeah, so that's why she was over there. And then you have the whole issue of people are going on that there's 3 lesbians in charge of the LA firefighters. So that's what was fun too. Some people are blaming that as well. And then you have people like states are like sending in trucks and everything like that to help out. And there have been stories saying that the Californians are doing emission tests on the trucks.
Oh, God. Oh, wow. It wouldn't surprise me if it were true, but...
yeah, but it's not true. It is not true.
No, it's not.
Well, if you can believe LA Fire. LA Fire says that's not the truth. What they're doing is doing safety checks. Like they said some of the tires were like 20 years old. And so they had to be fixed. Some were leaking oil. One actually broke down trying to come from Idaho to get to the fire. It just broke down.
I had heard about that one, yeah.
So yeah,
I've actually, that's one of the other things I've seen is that while this is going on, they've got so many of their trucks are in the shop that they can't get out there to do their job because they don't have the trucks to get there.
Yep. And they say like 100 LA fire trucks are waiting for repair. But to me that could just be normal, But
well, absolutely. I mean, I would be willing to bet that probably at least 80 to 90 of those 100 are in a state where, maybe like with my vehicle, the knuckles are wearing a little bit, so they need to be replaced.
Right.
I mean, when you're talking commercial vehicles like fire trucks, that's going to be listed as a needed repair, even though it's not something that's going to affect the vehicle in any way, shape, or form in performing its duties.
Yep.
So I'd be willing to bet that that's probably what's going on with most of those 100, but it wouldn't surprise me if there's a good deal that aren't in good repair that can't operate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, because it's just part of the whole sequence and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
But one thing I did,
I was thinking, I used to be a truck driver, and we, there were times where we'd have like 50 trucks sitting in the lot that needed to be fixed and couldn't move. I mean, that's just normal when you're dealing with large amounts of vehicles.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's kind of like how I was thinking on that. So it's yeah. But then I also found this thing where apparently LA, they only have, well, they have less than one firefighter for every 1,000 population.
That seems a little dangerous.
Right, right. And basically every other major city is much better than that. It's like Houston has is closer to 2 firefighters for every 1,000. So
Hmm.
they are like really on the low end of it. The only other halfway major city that's worse than LA is San Diego. So it's also a California thing.
Yeah.
but but yeah, so and then they keep getting their budget cut and everything like that by the mayor and everything. It's
Yeah.
and apparently their population has gone up since like 1960 by quite a bit, right? Millions of
Oh,
people,
yeah.
but they actually have
Yeah.
less firehouses than they did in 1960. So
Yeah, it's amazing how that works. As cities grow and stuff, they don't bother to worry about the infrastructure that actually protects them. I
well, some
mean,
don't.
well, right, but I mean, even here in the town that I live in, which is just I mean, comparatively, just a small little town.
Right.
I was talking to some ambulance personnel when I last time I went into the hospital, and they were saying that they've got some areas of Lawrence that you just can't get, that they don't have enough coverage because they haven't built a new station in like 10 years, while
Whew.
this town has been growing massively since and expanding its size quite a bit.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hopefully they had too many firefighters to begin with.
Well,
Know,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah. He did say, it hasn't been a problem lately yet, but he could see a time where, if nothing else, for the ambulance, for the paramedic part of the system, that it could be an issue with getting paramedics out to people quickly if they don't build a new one further out
right,
very soon.
which makes sense. That does make sense. So
Yep. But
okay, so that's LA. Sorry, LA. It sucks to be you right now. I do feel for you.
yeah, yeah.
It's
Haven't heard much coming out of there. I mean, what, like 12,000 houses have been destroyed or something like that,
uh,
or
probably more.
12,000 buildings have been destroyed. Probably not
Right,
all houses, of course,
hundreds of thousands of
but
people are at least over 100,000 are without a place to stay now,
yep.
and it really wiped out like a lot of historical
Oh
places,
yeah,
Hollywood
yeah,
history, and then it's also wiped out a lot of rich people's and movie stars' houses and everything like that. So
yep. Yeah, I
yeah,
saw an article a few days ago that was talking about trying to pin it all on one factory that had some electrical issues, and they're trying to figure out if that was what caused everything to spark up and go, or if it was something else.
yeah. Then there have been people blaming the homeless and everything like that. You never know.
Yeah.
It, it's a tinderbox over there, no matter what.
Oh, it is.
It's
Yeah,
there's not.
it absolutely is.
Yeah, so with a tinderbox, any little spark can set it off, and it's just normal of LA. Actually,
Yeah, it really is.
there's writings from like the 1800s talking about all the wildfires.
Yep.
So y- you can blame a lot of people right now are liking to blame climate change because well everything is climate change now. Uh,
Right.
but it really isn't, it's just the way that's always been. It's like the smog. Remember, everybody goes, oh, the smog of LA and everything like that. It's because of the cars.
Yeah.
And then there's also historical proof that it was always smoggy. There was just always
Yeah. Yep.
smog because it
Well, I
traps
mean,
the sea
it's
air and everything like that. And
yeah, it's the positioning of the city. I mean, you've got a city that's in between mountains. That's got the sea on the one side, the the smog or the smoke or whatever they've got going on. The smoke from fires back in the day. You
right.
know, they can't get up over the mountains, so it never clears out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, that's just, it's geological. You can't blame it on cars.
You really can't. You really can't. Yeah, it's almost like Jack Smith trying to blame Trump for everything that happened on January 6th and everything like that. It's
Yeah, yeah.
and then you get his diatribe that he published. I like to call it diatribe because that's how I view prosecutors. They always think that their case is the best; it's going to win no matter
Oh yeah,
what.
yeah.
This is
Yep.
prosecutors are like, yes, he's guilty, no matter what. He's freaking guilty. And you're like going,
Yeah.
uh, that's your say so, dude. It's not actual. And
Well, and it's not something that happens all the time, but in this case especially, I think it's very obvious that there's probably a lot of stuff that is just getting ignored because he's so dead set on him being guilty. I
yes,
mean,
yep, yep.
you know,
He's yeah. I understand
yeah,
because you're so focused on him being guilty or something like that that you ignore all the evidence that might show
yeah.
that it was just happenstance or this or that. You look
Yep.
for the nefarious in everything, and I think that's
Oh
really
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
from how I didn't actually read the full report or anything like that, but from the excerpts and everything like that I saw, it was basically just him trying to find the nefarious in so many things.
Yeah.
It, it's like, oh, he knew that he lost. How do you know that? He never said it publicly. Well, we had this aide that said that they heard him say that he knew that he lost.
Yeah.
So you have to go down a couple ways, like hearsay and everything like that, to try to
Yep.
figure it out. And so, to me, that's not good enough. Not for a court of law or anything like that.
Oh
It's like,
no, no,
okay,
not by no means.
and so much of it, other of it is so circumstantial. It's like he goes, well,
Yeah.
he's been supporting the January 6th rioters on Twitter. He says that they're patriots and everything like that. That shows that he is guilty. It's like that's actually not how it works.
No, that's not how it works at all.
That's a after the fact situation. It's
Yeah.
not a right then situation. So
Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Well,
that's how I view it.
that kind of stuff happens all the time. But I mean, when you're coming from a DOJ that can try to change laws so that they can prosecute him, or they extend the statute of limitations so that they can prosecute him. I
Yep.
mean, it just shows the corruptness of the system.
Oh yeah, yeah, and you can see that going on the other side. The prosecutor for Hunter Biden, he released a thing himself just today or something like that.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did, and he goes, Biden's full of crap. Hey, this was good case law. There was nothing political
Oh
about this,
yeah.
and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, going,
Yep.
well, I'm sure there was something political in there, no matter what. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah. I mean,
Hunter, he broke the law and everything like that, but it was fishy how the whole thing went down. Where he had a plea deal, and then the judge and the prosecutors and everything like this all messed it up. To me, that's where the hinkiness got to. It was in that whole thing where the judge said, "No, we won't take a plea deal," and there was something going on there that I
well,
think would
there
be.
was, but it wasn't on the part of the judge. Do you know why the judge turned the plea deal down?
I can't remember off the top of my
It's
head.
because the plea deal gave him a plea for a lot of things that weren't involved in that case. It got him off the
Oh
hook
yeah.
for a lot of things that weren't involved in that case. And no sitting judge should ever allow that kind of plea deal to fly.
So it was just like his pardon, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
the DOJ basically came up with a plea deal that would exonerate him. Well, not it would make him unprosecutable for many other crimes. And the
Huh.
judge looked at it and said, "What the hell are you trying to do with my court?"
Okay. Yeah. See, that makes sense. But yeah, there was something hinky going on, with
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
And so, yes, there is political, but political on which way? There's always something to that
Yeah.
end, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
never
it can't help but be political when you're talking about the president's son. I mean,
Right.
that there's politics has to play in that.
Yep, yep. And if it's like a circumstantial case, like it seems like the Trump one is, you
Yeah.
cannot, if there's hard evidence, okay, you can believe the
Hmm.
prosecutor, probably,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if it's pure circumstantial where he has to weave this tale just to try to get anything,
Yeah.
you really can't believe the prosecutor on that one. He's gotten in his own head and he thinks he knows what he's doing. That's why
And
I
it
think.
gets even worse. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's absolutely true. And it gets even worse when you realize that all of this circumstantial stuff that he has is because he confiscated attorneys' cell phones so that he could find dirt.
Right,
I
right.
mean, that is just insanely unconstitutional.
It is. It is. So much of it would have been. It's like this case in that finally where Trump was. What was it? You had the story exactly what happened with the
Oh
sentencing.
yeah, yeah. Let me pull that up real quick here. Yeah, where he got in the New York case with the fraud and everything else like that,
Right,
where he didn't actually commit fraud, but yeah, he got an unconditional. He was sentenced with an unconditional discharge,
right,
which
right.
means that there's no jail time, no fine, nothing,
Yeah, no
as if the
parole.
case didn't even happen. But
The
he's
felony
still a
still
felon.
exists. Right, right, right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know Trump. He went off on that and everything like that. I can understand why he did. I think it should have been dismissed, just because there
Oh,
doesn't seem to be
absolutely.
much case there. But I personally think the appeals court, probably the first one, will just dismiss it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's almost a
and then,
guarantee, I would say.
and, yeah, and then he won't be a felon anymore. So there you go.
Yep. Yep.
And then the
But he'll
news has
but
to
he'll be
stop that.
sworn in as a felon
But
because
technically
no
not
appeals
if
court.
the
No.
right. But
Yeah.
if it's
But I mean,
appealed and it shows
on
that
the
he
20th when he's sworn in, they will be able to say we have just sworn our first felon into the presidency.
right, but if the appeals court quashes
Yeah,
it.
then that felony will have gone away, so he wouldn't have been a felon.
Exactly. It's like
It's just a play on words.
timey-wimey stuff, right? As Doctor Who
Yep,
said.
absolutely, absolutely.
Uh,
Ugh.
let's see. Speaking of Trump inauguration, apparently Mrs. Obama is not going to be at the inauguration. Everybody else will be. The
Yeah.
Clintons, Bushes, Laura Bush, and everybody. I'm surprised that they're all going there because last time Trump was not. His little speech was pretty harsh against every single last one of them. But the
Well,
only,
you know.
yeah, the only one that won't be there is Mrs. Obama. I wonder what's going on because she also wasn't at Jimmy Carter's funeral. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm bringing this up. To me, it's odd. So there's something
Yeah,
going on that
it
we
is
don't
kind
know
of odd
about.
that she hasn't been at a couple of state events that are massive state events.
Right, right. Especially a Jimmy Carter one. To me,
Yeah.
it's like the Trump thing. It's like okay, yeah, whatever. But
Yeah.
to miss both, I hope she's fine. Really
Yeah,
do.
absolutely.
But yeah, it seems kind of odd that she isn't going to be at either one of them.
Yeah. It
And we
definitely does seem that way. Yeah.
yeah, and we don't have royals to gossip about, so we might as well gossip about
Right.
our former first ladies.
Yeah, that is kind of it's one of the interesting things about this country is that there really isn't anybody up top to gossip about all that much, except for of course the sitting president. But
Well, and movie stars. That's why we do movie stars and everything
well,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
It's
but
yeah,
yeah,
we see we here in the United States, we love celebrity is what we love. In the
yeah,
UK, it's a status thing. It's your class.
yep,
Uh it's like a movie star to a lot of Brits, it's just a movie star. They don't care, right?
yeah,
But
yeah.
to us, a movie star is more of the height. And for them, it's like, what's your bloodline say? That's the height over there. So
Yeah. Well, it's that way in a lot of countries too. I mean,
oh yeah,
in many countries, the movie stars and the singers and stuff like that, the people that perform live for audiences and stuff, they are seen as kind of a servant type situation
Yep,
where
yep.
they're there to serve the public, whereas here in the US they are like the gods, and everything they say is has to be true, and we have to follow what they do and say.
Yep,
And
yep, yep.
that's one thing I've never understood about US culture is why do we put them on such a high pedestal just because they know how to act?
Well, to me, I don't think it's necessarily the act. It's just that's all we have. Who else does
Yeah,
everybody in the country know? you know,
that's true. Yeah, that is true.
we had the Kennedys for a while. You know, there was that was entertaining,
Yeah,
following their
yeah.
back and forths and everything like that. But beyond that, so the lords or whatnot, if you want to call them that, of the United States, like they generally don't go out into public unless if you're like Paris Hilton,
Yeah,
who has
that's
a
true. Yeah.
little show for a
the
bit.
the children, the kids of the very rich go out and they get talked about a lot, but the actual people that are out there making the money and stuff like that, yeah, no, you're absolutely right, they don't really go out in the public that much. The one
And it's not
extreme
reported, at
exception now
least.
being Musk.
Oh, yeah. Musk is causing problems everywhere right now. He's pissing off Europe like to no end. I'm loving
Oh
it.
yeah,
It's
yeah, I've heard about that.
yeah, they're calling what he's doing like undemocratic. He's interfering and everything like that. Which is even the Brits are saying this, which is rich because Keir Starmer or Starmer, however you want, whatever his name is, the British Prime Minister.
Hmm.
During Trump's election, during the election cycle, they sent people over here to interfere to actually Brits to
Yeah.
talk to us about voting for Kamala Harris. Yeah, it's like,
Yep.
dude, go away. You're not welcome
Well,
here.
that's
It's,
that's the same thing I've always thought. Why is it that we get so pissed off that somebody tries to put their foot into our elections
uh-huh.
when we put our foot into almost every election in the world?
No, I'm right there with you on that one. Yeah, but it's like we do it like through the CIA. You
Yeah,
know,
we do it somewhat secretly.
right. But to actually send they actually sent Labor Party people over here
Yeah,
to
I
actually
remember
do
hearing
this.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, which is it's crazy.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
and apparently, what is it? The Italian Prime Minister. Her name is Giorgia Meloni or something like that. Probably
Hmm.
butchering the
Yeah.
pronunciation, but she's a right wing, so she's a conservative sort of
Okay.
situation. Uh, and she's actually defending Musk because a lot of people are like going over there, like saying he's a threat to democracy and everything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a few quotes from her. She said, "The problem is when wealthy people use their resources to finance parties, political parties, associations, and political opponents all over the world to influence political choices." She said Musk is not doing this. He's using his words. All he is doing is saying that
Yeah.
that's wrong. He's using free
Yeah.
speech to say that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. This is so
Yep.
undemocratic what you're doing, so on and so forth.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what he's
Yeah.
doing.
Yep.
Uh, let's see. Then let's see. She went on. Musk is not doing that. Elon Musk financed an election campaign in his own country, so here in the United States, for his candidate, Trump, in a system in which, by the way, this is what she's saying, I would point out that this was quite common for rich people to affect their
Oh
own
yeah. Yeah.
election
It
cycle.
happens all the time here.
Right. It happens everywhere in the world. It's what you do.
Yep.
Your rich people, they finance the campaigns and everything like that, and they get the laws that
Yeah.
they want. And all us other plebeians out here, we can just all suck off. That's
Yep. Absolutely.
She said, I am not aware of Elon Musk financing political parties, associations, or political exponents from around the world. This, for example, is actually what George Soros does. He's the one that
Yep.
actually sends money around the world trying to interfere into local elections and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Well, he also tries to buy all of the press in the area that he can and stuff like that.
Oh,
And he tries to
yep,
silence the opposition and support the people that he wants to be in power.
yep,
So I mean
yep.
there's a huge difference between the two.
The huge difference. And yeah, he finances all these other things, yeah, around the world and everything like that. He is completely against Orban in Hungary. He hates him like with a passion. And so yeah,
Must mean that
it's
Orban's a pretty good guy.
I think so. Yeah, he sticks up
I
for
mean,
Hungary.
If
It's
Soros hates him, it means that he's got to be doing a good job where he's at.
to me, if you stick up for your country, you're a good guy. I don't care if you're left,
Yeah,
right, or whatnot. If you stick up for your
yeah,
country, screw everybody else.
absolutely.
Yes, be allies with people that you actually get along with and everything like that.
Yeah, yeah.
But otherwise, leave me alone. That's how I figure it. So if somebody's going to
Yep.
leave me alone, I'm all for it. So yeah, and apparently Germany tried to influence or interfered in the Italian elections by claiming that this lady was far right and a danger to the EU and so on and so forth. So
Yeah.
it is pure craziness.
Uh,
But yeah, Musk. He's the danger.
yep.
He is the danger.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
he's the
he'll be
danger because he's saying things.
right, exactly. But speaking of Musk as well, apparently there might be some talking between him and China to actually buy TikTok.
Yeah,
So
I've heard about that.
yeah, so if the Supreme Court decides against TikTok, which I think they will, by the way, I think
It
this is
does seem that way.
well, it's for security reasons, and if the federal
Yeah,
government says it's for security reasons, the Supreme Court always just goes, okay.
yeah, pretty much.
There's inter national interest. Okay, that I'm not going to say anything again. So that's your purview to decide that. It's not our purview. Is how the Supreme Court usually views
Right.
that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, they're thinking that if they don't win the Supreme Court, there'll be a last minute sell off to Musk if he can come up with the money.
Nice. Well, that reminds me of an article I just read that was talking about how, and I kind of find it kind of funny. So TikTok, a Chinese company, is possibly going to be changing hands or shut down, and so millions of people have been rushing to another Chinese-owned
Yeah,
social media.
Red Note, I think it's called.
Yeah, Red Note. Yep.
Yeah, yep. I've seen that on too. I've seen that on TikTok. It's like I'm going to Red Note, and I'm like going, okay. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do with that. I'm going to let everything wash out and then see
Yep.
which one to join. It looks
Yeah.
like that one's a pain in the butt. I saw one of the tutorials they said is how to change the language from Chinese to English. And so you have to click on all these Chinese characters, and I'm like, going, okay, no, I'm
Oh
good.
God, no, no, that's not good.
I cannot decipher one Chinese character from another Chinese character. My eyes are
Yeah.
tuned. My eyes are tuned to like Latin letters.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
I might be able to get away with some Cyrillic, maybe, because they're kind of
Yep.
like
Yep.
they're also like Latin
Yeah.
letters, so there's similarities there. So, but yeah, no Chinese characters. I can't tell one from the
Yeah.
other.
No.
There's no way.
Chinese, Korean, Japanese. I mean, I can tell the difference between them as to which language they're from,
Right.
but I can't. I will never be able to figure out. This one means this or anything like that. That's just
Well, right.
my
Well,
brain's not wired that way.
those are actually different. It's like the Japanese and the Chinese, those are like characters based. So each character is a word, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you can build them up. Korean is actually different. Korean is actually more of it's a newer written language. It still has the characteristics of like
right.
Chinese and
Yeah.
whatnot, but they're actually letters. So
Okay.
and there's an
So
actual
are they kind of a phonetic? Is their written language a phonetic language then in
it's
sorts?
something
Or
because it's more modern in how it
okay,
was developed.
yeah,
So yeah, from I think it actually, if you spent time, you could actually figure it out much easier
right,
than Chinese. Is more just memorization, but Korean you can actually figure it out. You can actually figure out
yeah,
the sounds of it. At least it's sounds, if not exact letters,
yeah,
but at least
right,
sounds. So yeah,
okay.
yep,
Yeah, that was the one thing, about the Chinese language I've always found fascinating is how, you can have five written words that can be used in the same place because they have the same sound and basically the same meaning,
uh huh,
but like the story behind them is so different that it doesn't make sense for them for that to be in there for except for one of them. And
right, right.
it just it's fascinating how that works.
It is. It really is fascinating. Yeah. Okay, what else you got?
But well, since we're off on international stuff, a company in England is getting a little bit of heat right now.
Uh huh.
Um, England had hired there's this company that's been hired to handle like the infrastructure and stuff like that of the cities and stuff, and they're also the ones that send out fines for people that dump the trash wrongly in the wrong places.
Right, right.
They fined a 5-year-old girl £1,000 for what they call fly tipping, which is illegal trash dumping.
Okay.
I found that even more hilarious that it's called fly tipping.
Yeah, what's the
But
etymology of that one? This
yeah, I have no
like him.
idea. But yeah, no. So they fined her fined her £1,000,
Uh-huh.
and then threatened to fine her more and to take her to court if she didn't pay. And this is all
Okay.
because a parcel with her address was found on the ground near the local trash dump area.
So it could have fallen out. It could have she could have
Yes, because
wow.
the trash dump was overflowing,
Right.
so I guarantee it fell out.
Right, right.
And it was something that her parents had probably tossed into a bag,
Right.
tossed the bag up, the bag ripped apart, or the whole bag fell out, and her name was on a parcel, and so they fined her specifically £1,000.
How, how can you find a 5-year-old? There's
I
no,
don't know.
there's no,
But it's even worse is that when the family went to contest it,
right.
the company told her that a police officer had seen her dumping the trash
Oh shit.
when it was really just they found a parcel with her name laying on the ground.
Wow. Wow. That
Yeah, so that city is very heavily thinking about no longer contracting with that company.
right. It's a child, for God's sakes. You tell you
Yeah, and for,
if a cop saw that happen, what the cop is supposed to do is go there and say, "Hey, pick that up." Kind of
yeah, exactly.
scare the kid in a good way to realize that
Yeah.
littering is bad, and then
Well,
like
I think they said that before they knew that she was a 5-year-old.
it's like once you realize it's a 5-year-old, you just need to stop.
Yeah, yeah,
Just
yeah.
stop. It's a 5-year-old, for
Yep,
Christ's sakes. It's
yep.
like, yeah. Is it British law that a 5-year-old can actually be fined? I don't think it's even American
I
law that
don't
you can
think
fine a
so.
5-year-old.
No,
Is it
no,
even
you couldn't.
possible?
No, you could find the parents of the 5-year-old if they were doing something drastic, like if they started spraying graffiti all over the place, you could find the parents, but you can't find the kid.
Yeah, yeah. Even the graffiti, that's kind of
Yeah, I know.
yeah, that's kind of iffy. It's
Yep.
That's one of the weird things about American law. You never know. Now they're trying to go after
Yeah.
them though, like with the shootings at school and everything like that. They're going after the parents as well
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Oh
supplying
yeah.
guns. So
Yeah.
maybe it'll get down to where we'd have to pay a $5,000 fine if our kid littered.
It very well could be. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking.
No, it would not be shocking. But speaking of crazy Brits, apparently there's a new law over there that if you like own a pub or something like that or any sort of retail establishment, you have to
Yeah.
ensure that your employees are not harassed or like or anything like that. To where and this is might cause problems because some people say, well, actually, this is under the proposed legislation, harassment because so they can't be harassed, the employees,
Right.
by customers, by the way. They can't be harassed by customers. And harassment is defined as unwanted conduct that has the purpose or effect of violating the recipient's dignity or creating an intimidating, hostile, degrading, humiliating, or an offensive environment.
Okay.
So you add all that up together. And what do you think is an offensive environment? What do you think is degrading? What do you think is hostile? It's like this could be they're afraid that this will stifle just people being at the pub and talking about whatever is going on in the world,
Oh yeah.
LGBT,
Yeah.
however they view that from one side or the other, or anything. So the Brits are really legislating themselves out of being able to talk.
Yeah, they really are. And
Yeah.
I mean, I can see some purpose for those laws, but at the same time, I don't think it should be law. But I mean, no woman working at a pub likes having the drunk guy grab her ass as she walks by, that type of thing.
Well, right, but that's also physical.
But
So
yeah, yeah. But I
physical
mean,
versus yeah.
to I mean, that'd be the same as outlawing construction workers from doing cat calls on good-looking women that were walking by.
Yeah. They want to stop it. Yeah, of course. And
Yeah,
most of the time they don't do it anymore. But yeah, it happens, and
right.
but it also falls under speech. And
Yes.
yeah, I really don't understand what's going on over there. They really are. They have a hard on for getting rid of
Oh, they really do. I mean, anything
anything.
anything related to speech. I mean, you know, even memes and stuff like that from not too long ago. I remember stories about how you go to jail for memes
Yep, yep,
if it's
yep.
if it's the wrong meme, and I mean that's just yeah, and then the disinformation. I've heard that they're doing stuff about making laws against disinformation.
Right.
I mean, yeah, and anything that doesn't toe their line, they want to make a law against, which, as I've said in the past, is very reminiscent of Nazi Germany.
Yeah, or other authoritarian sort of things. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
Russia, communist China. You say the wrong thing and you're in jail
yep. Or you get fined
if you're
$1,000.
lucky. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, yeah. Speaking of those kinds of rules and laws and stuff like that here in the U.S., I guess the Department of Justice has been trying to make sure that they get some court stuff taken care of before Trump goes into office.
Okay.
Um, the dealing with the police,
Uh-huh.
they are trying to basically make it so that woke policies have to be have to be handled by the police, and they're doing it in a way that Trump, when he's sworn in, can do absolutely nothing about. He can't.
Right.
He wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to do a presidential order to reverse them. There's nothing that can be done to reverse them. You can't even take it to court to reverse them.
Okay, like what?
And what they're doing is a consent decree with the police.
Okay.
Are you familiar with what a consent decree is?
Not fully.
Okay, so it's a consent decree is So two parties go in front of a judge, say like they're doing this mostly for in Minnesota for the for police brutality and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
The cases from New York from Minnesota about that. They go to the judge, and the police department and the people bringing the case come to an agreement that the police will have to take certain things into consideration and take certain actions to make it so that they are more um so that they're a nicer, kinder police force, basically.
Okay.
The consent decree is then signed by the judge as a consent decree anytime, and this can go for years. The longest one running right now is 19 years,
Uh-huh.
where up until the point where the police department matches what the board that they put together says 100%. Any time they break the decree, they are found in contempt of court.
Oh, Jesus.
But it's not a court ruling, therefore it cannot be overridden by any other court.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Sounds about right. Sounds about right. All these.
Yeah, they've got three cases right now that they're pushing hard and heavy that the DOJ was pushing hard and heavy to get this consent decree going on
Uh-huh.
them. Kentucky, Minnesota, and Maryland, and so they're pushing real hard. They know that once Trump's DOJ comes in,
Right.
that this is basically going to go away. I mean, they're not going to pursue this anymore, probably.
Right.
And so they're pushing hard and heavy to make sure that they can tie Trump's arms a little bit more.
So, okay. Why those three states? That.
Because those are the three states where parties like where certain parties have found that there is racial bias in jailing or in ticketing or something like that, and so they took it to court and they're trying to enforce their view on the state.
Got it. Got it. They do realize that Minnesota is led by a Democrat, right? And basically the whole government is
Well,
Democrat.
yes, of course, but this group has still found that the police force there is very racist in their how they deal with the public and who they deal with in the public.
Got it. Got it.
There's more tickets written to certain ethnic groups, according to them. There's more interactions with the police in certain ethnic groups, and I mean,
But
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into all of that stuff. It's not just well, you're this color, your skin is this color, so we're going to go after you hard and heavy. It's more of, in many cases, like in Chicago, the cases of interactions between the police and the black person are much higher, but that's because there are a lot of black people that are doing bad things too.
well, also just the socioeconomic situation,
Yeah,
they're,
absolutely.
the poor, no matter race, color, creed, there's more crime in those areas. Just
Yes.
it's a worldwide phenomenon. It doesn't matter,
Yep.
It's
Yep.
yeah. So of course, because that's where it is. So
Yeah, and so they're trying to get consent decrees in those three states to make it so that the police are basically controlled by a board that's not elected or not chosen by anyone in government. It's they're lawyers, psychologists, and all this other stuff are put onto these boards,
huh.
and none of them know anything about policing.
Of course not. Of course not. Why would you
Yeah.
want somebody that knows anything about it to actually be part of it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. Oh, things are kind of starting to heat up with the nominations and everything like that.
Yep.
Pete Hegseth, he's been up on the Capitol Hill. Looks like he's going to make it. Looks like he'll be the Secretary of Defense. Probably no problem.
Okay. That's good.
I don't know if it's good or not. I really don't. He's got some issues, but
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it looks like he's going to be able to breezily just get on in there. The Democrats, they tried to put up. It was the most pathetic fight, really. If you, from what I can tell, they just Hegseth always had just quick. He handled it so smoothly and everything like that. He never got agitated
Hmm.
or anything. And the
Yeah.
Democrats just couldn't get anything. They tried some gotcha questions, and it never really worked. But then the Republicans aren't actually asking him any real questions. It's like, what color is your
Yeah.
dog? Oh, he's brown. Oh, isn't that a great thing? Yeah, the equivalent of that. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
that sort of thing. So the Republic, but this is very typical of that sort of
Oh, it
thing.
is. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the way it goes. No matter who's the president, their side is going to give very softball questions, and the
yep,
other side is going to try to rip them apart. I mean, that's
yep,
just the way it
yep, yep.
works.
It is how it works. The only exciting thing was that there were like 3 protesters at this thing. And I know one guy, he was screaming, "You're a misogynist! You're a misogynist!" And that was it. That's all it was. So I'm like, okay, yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
kind of a boring. That's kind of a boring hearing for that.
It really is. I think he was just trying to get laid. Personally, it's why else do men get involved in that sort of thing? They want to get laid.
Yeah, no kidding. He was probably interested in some woman that was wearing a blue bracelet.
Yes, he probably has a girlfriend or a girl that he
Yep.
likes. That's that's a hardcore feminist. Nothing against it. This is
Yep.
how it works all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
So many guys joined the Communist Party just because there was a cute girl that was in the Communist Party back in like the '60s. Yeah,
Yep.
it's how it works. It's how it works. And if you can get
It
arrested
really
for
is.
it, if you get arrested for it, that's showing some.
That's like bonus points.
Exactly. Uh,
Uh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, the one at the same time, the House is doing something really good. It looks like
Uh huh.
um, they have the House has passed a law that it needs to go to the Senate now. The Senate's about to bring it up too. That will ban biological males from girls' sports.
Oh yeah. I saw that. Yeah, that's
Finally, something that it needed to happen.
well, yeah, but to me, it's not like a finally thing. It's just it takes time because nobody ever thought that you could to begin with. And then
Yeah.
the trans thing started kicking off
Yep.
and everything like that, and so they go, well, there's no
Yep.
law against it, so you have to be nice to me. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, there's no law because we all just thought it was common sense. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's one thing that I've never really understood is, the the thought that everyone knows that there are massive differences between men and women
right,
as
right,
far as physicality and stuff like that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have to separate, the military or the police departments or the fire departments. They wouldn't have to separate a women's standards from a men's standards.
true.
And anytime you have to separate standards like that, it means that there is a discrepancy between the two. And so to throw men into women's sports to anyone 10 years ago, that would have been an insane thought.
Yeah, it was. It was an insane thought, and so, but yeah. So what I'm saying is that just this was a new thing that came up, and so we had to pass a law.
Yeah. Yeah.
It needs to be legislated because you
Yeah.
don't want the danger of a guy with
Oh, yeah.
that has denser bones, more muscle, and everything like that to actually
Yep.
cause damage to a woman that would not have had that damage if she wasn't playing
Yes.
against a
Yes.
biological man.
Yeah.
So yeah, no,
there's
it makes
there's
sense.
some sports I don't think it really matters that much. And there's some sports that I find it hilarious that they talk about how it's because they're finally playing with a sport in the body with the body that they think that they should be in.
Uh
Yet they're never going into sports where being female is a distinct advantage.
huh.
I have never seen a male figure skater that tried to go up against the women.
There's that. There's that. Because females, they do things that men can't do. Men can also do things that
Yeah.
women can't do. But yeah, it's that is true. That is true.
Anything dealing with grace and
Yeah,
with dexterity, women are going to overpower men in that sport in any situation almost.
yeah. The gymnastics, the female side of
Yeah.
gymnastics, because
Yeah.
yeah, biological men couldn't do a lot of that stuff that the
Yep.
women do. So yeah,
And I have never seen a biological male try to go into any of those sports.
maybe they have. We just don't know it. Yeah, who
Well, that
knows?
very well
It's
could be. They could be, they didn't win, so they didn't get, so no one was talking about it. But,
yep, yep.
you've never seen it on the news. The only ones I've ever seen on the news were the swimming or the,
Oh yeah, yep.
basketball and stuff like that,
Volleyball.
volleyball.
Yep, yep.
Basically, you see it on the news because some women got hurt or the record was just completely crushed.
Yeah, yeah. Or or it's like with volleyball, like every team, basically every team, just decided that they were going to forfeit the
Yeah.
round.
Yep.
It's like
Yep.
no. So they came in second, whatever team that guy or that person was on, and it's like, okay, well that's not really right, but move on
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
But actually,
Yep.
this whole gender thing that actually plays a part in that Pete Hegseth nomination process. Because he said a while ago, he had said in his books and everything like that he doesn't think that women should be on the front line.
Okay.
And so so that really came up in everything like that. All the especially women in Congress were like going, "What do you mean by that? Come on, come on!" And he was like going, "Okay." He's modified it. Now he says, if you can pass the tests, the physical and the strength tests that are required for a man,
Yes.
you can be, but otherwise no.
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, things
Well,
will
and that's always been my thought too. I as with how large I am,
right.
if I'm in a building that catches on fire, I want a couple of male firefighters to try to pull me out, and not a female, because a female ain't going to be able to budge me.
Well, speaking of that, did you hear what the head of the LA fire department said?
No, I didn't.
So she she was like, it's a TikTok video, and she was like going on about how people were asking her questions. It was a news conference or something like that, and so he goes, "Well,
Mhm.
what about your strength? What if you have to pick up a man and get him out of the fire?" Her response was, "Well, he shouldn't have been there."
Oh my God. So your home catches on fire, and her response is, "You shouldn't have been there."
Yeah, basically, yeah. I'm paraphrasing, mind you. It's not exactly what she said.
Right, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you were in the wrong spot. So too bad. To me, that's blaming the victim. It's like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like
not
going to a
not
woman
only
saying, "Oh,
not
you shouldn't
only
have
it-
worn a short skirt." It's like,
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it. You have the right to be where you are and dress how and everything like that. So it's like, yeah,
not
no,
not only is it blaming the victim, but it's also removing the core responsibility of the firefighter
yep, yep,
that they have. They are there to rescue the citizens.
yep. That is their
If you're
job.
gonna say, well, you know what, you got caught in the fire, so you shouldn't have been there, and no firefighters. Basically, that's saying no firefighter should ever go into the building to look for survivors.
Yep.
Instead, just hose it down from the outside.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense to me, right?
I mean, no. No, that's just wrong on in every way.
It is. It is wrong on every way. But yeah, that's what. That was one of the news stories that came out of this this LA fire. It's like you're just like,
Oh man.
are you kidding me? Really? You're kidding me there, right? That's yeah. Fun, fun.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, staying in the same line of subjects, there's some liberal groups that are threatening to sue law enforcement in Colorado and other blue states if the law enforcement decides to help ICE deport the illegal aliens.
Sue them for what? Like going against what the city or state said?
No, they want to go after them um for the human rights, basically.
Huh. Interesting. I
Yeah.
why don't they just sue ICE then?
Well, because ICE is a federal government,
Well,
a
right,
federal
but
thing, and you can't sue the federals for doing that. So instead, they're gonna it's only the county, it's only the sheriffs, because the police state the local police stations, they report to the mayor. So if the mayor says we're not doing this, they don't
right,
do it.
right.
Whereas the sheriff is an elected official, and so that I guess it makes it so that they can be sued or something like that if they do something.
Well, I think it probably
Um,
depends on like the how it's set up in each individual
yeah,
jurisdiction.
most likely.
Because I'm not sure if
But
every
yeah, I
sheriff
mean,
is actually voted in, but yeah, I don't know.
no, every sheriff is voted in.
Oh, okay, okay.
That's why I've always found it very interesting that the local police have to listen to the feds in almost every manner. So
Uh
if the
huh.
FBI comes in, the local police have to give way to the FBI.
Okay.
But because the county sheriff is an elected official, they can tell the FBI to shove off.
Huh. I like that. Yeah.
Because since it's an elected official versus a government bureaucracy, they hold more authority in the situation. Whereas the local police don't have that because they're not elected officials. Therefore, the feds have more authority, but the county sheriff will always have more authority than the feds.
Huh. That's interesting. It was like last night. Me and Carol were watching the FBI Most Wanted,
Yeah,
and the sheriff was like arrested some of the FBI agents and everything like that. So I
yeah,
guess they must have. Huh. Yeah. Odd. Odd. I did
yep,
not know it. Kind of cool. Kind of
yeah, it
cool.
is. Yep.
Let's see here. What else we got here? Denmark, Greenland. I guess we could talk about that a bit.
Oh yeah, yep.
So yeah, apparently, yeah, Trump's been saying that he wants uh, Greenland, of course,
Hmm.
for national security reasons and everything like that. He said many different things, saying we'll either buy it or invade it or something. You know, Trump, he's crazy.
Yeah,
But apparently, Denmark has said, okay, well, we're not going to sell it to you, uh, but you can add more bases and more troops to Greenland for security reasons. And now the PM is like say of the prime minister of Greenland, because it's not part of Denmark. It's owned by the
right.
crown of Denmark,
Yeah,
not by Denmark itself. And so the PM of Greenland is saying, well, we'll see now. At first he was like, no, no, no. And then they did a poll. They did a poll of the 50 some thousand people there. The
yeah.
poll said that 57% of them want to join the U.S. so,
Nice.
so if they have a plebiscite,
Yeah,
they're going to join the U.S. You know, at that rate, I don't think they have enough people for a statehood. I think you need 100,000.
right.
But yeah, so there's that. You know, we could have Greenland. I'm not sure if they'd go Republican or Democrat. Being up there in the cold, I'd almost say Republican. Leave me alone, sort of situation.
Yeah,
Then we could also let Puerto Rico become in, and they could be the Democrat, and then the Republican. So then it's all evened
yeah,
out, you know, more or less. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, it's insane.
It really is.
Yeah.
It
I,
really
I've
is.
I've got one more kind of political thing.
Uh huh.
Um, Biden is taking his last chance at the tobacco industry.
Okay.
The FDA right now is looking at limiting the nicotine levels in cigarettes.
Okay. It's too high. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, the cigarettes are too addictive, so the
Well,
nicotine is too high.
so they want to basically just get rid of the nicotine. Is that basically what they want to do? So
Essentially, yes,
okay.
but they're not going to target vaping or e-cigarettes
Of
or
course
anything
not.
else that has nicotine. It's
Of
just
course not.
tobacco itself. Um, and this reminds me of I I'm a former smoker. I
Yeah, same
smoked
here.
like
Yep.
two and a half packs a day at my highest level. It was
Yeah.
bad. Um,
Remember when we
but
tested those phones in Kansas City, driving
yes,
around? We
yes.
were smoking like 2 packs a day. Whew,
Oh yeah.
that
Well,
got rough.
when all you're doing is driving around town for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was some good money.
Oh, it was. I had a lot of fun doing that too.
Yeah,
But no. So I remember. I can't remember exactly, but I remember hearing stories when I was growing up that one of the reasons that cigarettes were so bad was because of the high levels of tar. But I also remember hearing that the federal government had mandated that they had to increase the level of tar so that it would replace the nicotine so they were less addictive.
really.
I haven't been able to find anything since about that since I started looking recently.
Right.
I remember hearing people talking about that. I don't
Okay.
remember exactly where it was from, but so my thought on this, so if you're going so the only way to adjust the level of nicotine is by making um changes to the plant itself,
Right.
basically modifying the plant to get rid of the nicotine because it's naturally in the plant.
Right. Right.
But when you do that, how else are you going to be affecting the plant, and is it going to make it so that it's even worse than it is now?
Yeah, you never know. You never know. And do they add nicotine just to make it even more addictive? I don't know. It's
Yeah.
who knows? That is a bit interesting. That is a bit
Hmm.
interesting. Let's see. I have a
Yeah,
few
and so
more kind of.
as I was reading this about the nicotine, I ran into some articles about marijuana, how they have 40 times more tar than cigarettes do.
Yeah, not a surprise. Not a surprise.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna find out all the bad things of that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. International. Apparently, gay people can now be priests, or gay men, because well, it has to be men because it's a Catholic Church.
Right. Yeah.
But gay men can be Catholic priests. I thought they were already. I'm just saying.
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of
The boys and
that's always
everything,
been the running joke. I mean,
right? Yeah. So I'm like going, you need this out there, you know? It's like, and then it goes, you can be gay now, you just can't practice. It's like, well, you can be heterosexual and not can't practice that either if you're a priest. So
yeah,
this is like a distinction without a difference.
it really is. Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me. It's like, okay, well, the Pope said it now, so yeah. I'm like going, I
Yeah.
thought that's how it always was.
Yeah, absolutely.
uh,
Uh
let's see here. Was there anything else that I had on like the international side? Oh, Biden removed Cuba from the list of state-sponsored terrorism. So there's that. Apparently, Cuba's going to release some political prisoners for it. So
okay.
it still won't change anything, but
Yeah.
they just won't be on that list. And then because Obama did it, and then Trump put them back on, and now Biden is taking them off. So when Trump comes, he'll
And
probably
then Trump
put
will
them
put
back
them
on.
back
Yeah,
on then.
yeah, yeah. It's just this back and forth. Uh,
Yep.
I love the Cubans and the Floridian Cubans and everything like that, but come on, can we just stop this? Just get off Cuba.
Yeah.
Just it just doesn't make sense why we're still pissed at them. It really doesn't. It's like,
No.
and it failed. Everything we've done failed. Now we're just making them miserable for the sake of making them miserable, and it's
Yeah.
just
I mean, it made some sense to when the back in the with the Cuba Missile Crisis, it made some
right.
sense to try to stop Russia from putting missiles on Cuba. I mean,
Makes
that
sense to me.
made perfect sense. We didn't want those missiles nearby.
Yep.
But ever since then, Cuba has never really done anything to negatively impact us that I've heard of.
No, they really haven't. Uh,
I mean, we don't like their government, but just because we don't like their government doesn't mean that they're like an axis of evil.
right, right. A lot of it comes down to though is the Florida vote.
Yeah.
Especially like earlier, like right now it's a deep, deep red state, but
Yep.
before it was a toss-up state, and so the Republicans or whoever, both Democrats and Republicans, they were like going, well, we don't want to piss off the Cubans.
Yeah. Yeah.
because they won't vote for us. So
Right.
I think that's where a lot of it comes from. But they just. I know some of them are still alive that came from Cuba and everything like that, and some come every so often. But I'm sorry. Let's just stop this idiocy.
Yeah.
It just makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. Let them
Yeah. No,
be.
it doesn't. Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. So
I mean, the only reason that we have to even think about doing anything to them right now is because they're still essentially a communist party. It's still
right,
communist
right,
Cuba. And so it's the fact that it's communism is the only thing that the U.S. could have any concerns about, nothing else, because they
yeah.
haven't done anything in so long. So why are we punishing them because of the form of government that they are operating under? It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. It's like China.
Yeah.
Well, North Korea. That's a whole different issue.
Well,
It's
yeah.
not necessarily because they're communists. Is Vietnam still communist? I can't remember if they are or not. But we're friendly
I
towards
believe
them.
so.
Yeah, we're friendly towards them. It's
Mm-hmm.
we've kind of made up with them, and we're all good now with them.
Yeah.
So I really don't see the issue. So
The,
yeah,
the only the only thing that I can see is just because of their proximity to how close they are to the U.S.
yeah, but if we actually become friendly towards them, then they
Yeah.
won't want to go towards the other side. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just
Yeah. Yeah.
be happy and
Yep.
help us here at the Mindless Meanderings. Spread the word of our podcast. Let everybody know how awesome we are, or whatever. And we work on a value for value model here. So if you want to pitch in and help us out in any amount, $1, $300, doesn't matter. We would gladly appreciate it. It would help defer some of these costs. But we do love doing this, and so please spread the word. And the more that can hear us, maybe we'll get better with a bigger audience. You want a better podcast? Help get a bigger audience. There you go. Makes sense to me.
No. Yeah. Yeah. The correlation might be a little bit off, but hey, it makes perfect sense.
Perfect sense. Perfect sense. What tech stuff
Uh,
you got, Jamin?
well, found something very interesting. A couple of weeks ago we talked about the prosthetic limbs and how there was one that was doing an inflatable one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they've now found a way to make it so that they can operate better. Up till now, prosthetic limbs they've just attached to the nervous system, and the nerves, you clench your fist or you clench your fist in your mind and it makes the fist clench, and, your hand actually forms a fist.
Right.
But you couldn't really do any fine tuning. You couldn't control how strong it would hold something. You couldn't control anything like that. So MIT has come up with a new thing where they implant little tiny magnets into the muscles
Okay.
just above where the break is.
Uh-huh.
and based on the muscle move, and then they put sensors next to those muscles as well. And then based on the movement of the magnet, if it's just a little bit of movement, it means that you're not using much strength. If it's a big movement, it means you're using a lot more strength. And so they're finding that they're able to fine tune the the strength of the appendages as well now, rather than just the clench or not clench.
Oh, that's pretty sweet. That is pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, they're looking at going into clinical testing before too long. Probably in the next couple of years, they want to go into clinical testing, using with people that have been amputated below the knee and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, but if it works out, I mean, it's an ingenious method of using magnets.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Yeah,
And the great thing about it is that the magnets that they implant, they can be left in for life. You never have to worry about taking them out or changing them out or anything like that. So they haven't experienced any of the rejection that other types of implants would have.
that is awesome. That is completely awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, love technology. Love technology.
Oh, absolutely. It's a great thing. But then again, it's sometimes science and technology can also be used a little bit weird.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
So there have been biologists that have attempted to transplant plant chloroplasts
Okay.
into animals.
Uh-huh.
And I guess they've had some success, according to them. The chloroplasts from algae, they put them into hamsters, and they survived for 3 days, transferring energy into the cells.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. They're trying to make it basically so that the human being does not need to eat anymore.
Just soak up the sun.
Yeah,
Uh,
they want to turn us into plants.
yeah, so that who is that Alanis Morissette? I want to soak up the sun. Yeah. Yeah. It's a whole new meaning to it.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah,
That is
I mean,
crazy.
yeah,
3 days though.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's actually not terribly bad because the life of a single cell is not that long, anyways.
Yeah, but
But
chlorophyll
the
is
the
a
prob the
poison to
problem
us.
is, yeah, the problem is that every time one cell dies, you would then have to go and implant the chloroplast into the new cell because your body will never make chloroplast in the cell. So
Unless
you
if
would
we
have
gen
every 3 days you would have to go in and
yeah.
get this stuff put into every cell in your body to eliminate the food. So I don't really see what the point of any of it is.
So was it the cell died, or was the hamster dead?
The cell itself died. The
But the
chloroplast stopped
but
working.
the hamster was still alive.
They didn't say one way or the other, but it didn't sound like the hamster had
Uh,
died.
okay, okay. The way you had said it made it sound like the hamster died after 3 days. So I was
Okay. Yeah, no, the chloroplast worked for 3 days. The article that I read didn't get into whether the hamster survived afterwards or not.
got it,
Um,
got it.
I'm kind of assuming that it did, considering that the body replaces cells on a regular basis.
I don't know. Hamster's dead.
But
Yeah.
you never know. Yeah,
I say hamster's dead. Yep, yep.
works for me.
Yep. Let's see here. One last story here. Got apparently there's a perfect temperature for cognitive ability. Apparently there's a sweet spot of 68 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is the best place for brains. Especially they did a study of old folks' homes, elderly care
Hmm.
establishments. And basically, it says that this range is when they can actually have a good cognitive ability. Anything, if it gets too cold, then cognition like almost drops to next to nothing because nobody likes to be cold. Just saying.
Right. Yeah.
But above 75, it starts to drop, but cognition is still fine and everything like that. Because heat isn't
Hmm.
there, it doesn't make you crazy like cold can. So it's
Yeah. Not until it gets insane heat.
yeah, yeah. The,
Yeah.
the this whole but the research project, I had a problem with it because fine. So you find what temperature it needs to be, which is the sweet spot for humanity. We all generally keep our house about 68 to 75 degrees, right? So
Yeah.
what we do.
Yeah.
But this article and even the study, it seems like the whole thing was tailored towards climate change. I think they needed climate change money. And so they go,
Hmm.
we're going to find a way to tie cognition to climate studies so we can get that federal grant money. Because it's
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, there's another interesting thing about this. In order to get these readings and these
uh
for this study, this means that they were essentially torturing old people by making them by making them be in below 65-degree normal room temperature and above 75-degree normal room temperature for long. I mean, it had to have been for long periods of time.
there is that. There is that. I never thought about that torturing old people. Bastards. They probably did get consent, I'm hoping. But
Oh,
then they're
oh yeah, probably.
but
Yeah.
then they were studying people with cognition. So hey.
Yeah, yeah, you never know.
Yeah, yeah.
They could have turned the temperature way down and then had them sign it off because they don't operate as well cognitively.
Yeah, but throughout the whole thing, it was like the research suggests that as climate change brings more extreme temperatures, elderly individuals may face increased cognitive challenges unless their indoor environments are properly regulated. That's how it is all the time. It's got nothing to do with climate
Yeah.
change, for Christ's sakes. This is it.
It's the middle of winter right now, and if I went outside, my cognitive abilities might decline a bit because it's
Yes,
freaking cold out there.
exactly.
I think my cognitive abilities actually declined before I went outside. Otherwise, I wouldn't have freaking gone outside when it's so cold out.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sorry. No,
Yeah, no.
to say you could do the study without mentioning the climate change. Is what I'm basically getting at.
Yes.
You don't need
Yes,
to do that
absolutely.
because there's
No.
temperature gradients without even talking about climate change. So I really
Yeah.
think they just went for the climate change Pell Grant money or whatever.
Oh,
That's
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, without a
they,
doubt.
they go. We need money for this. How can we tie this and get some money?
Yep. Well, there's another one trying to get money too. I just read today that there's in the Himalayas and stuff like that where saffron is produced. They're
Uh-huh.
starting to worry about the saffron plant product, so they're trying to find ways to be able to grow them in greenhouses now.
Ah, okay, okay. It's well, it kind of makes sense just to grow them in greenhouses, anyways. But yeah, it's
Yeah, you can control the climate, and I mean you could grow it pretty much anywhere if you grow it in a greenhouse.
yeah, and okay, so it's not growing there anymore. We'll find a place where on Earth where it grows
Yeah,
again. This is how
yeah,
life works, people.
that's
And
how
with
it's
that,
always worked. Yeah,
exactly. And thank you for joining us for episode 20 of the Mindless Meanderings podcast. I'm Jesse Freeze,
and I'm Jamin Freeze.
and you guys have a great day.